Hi there. I think there should be at least a warning for the people that like to use marijuana because, well, the new drug policy that's being introduced is very strict and also extends to foreign countries. It also involves the planning of using marijuana. It's of course a ridiculous thing to fight marijuana use because what's the economical impact of using marijuana? Zero. You knock out a few people and you make other people a little bit relaxed, and there's some people in Afghanistan growing marijuana or wherever they are doing that. It's not lethally toxic. It doesn't prohibit you from being part of the workforce. And by the way, nobody wants you in the workforce except one workforce, and that's what I'm talking about here. And that's the Gulags. That's the prison system where you can now be absorbed into for basically no reason whatsoever, and then work for very little money and be very productive, because the prison system in the US is one of the most productive branches of the whole manufacturing industry in the US at the moment. Slave labor, that's what it is. You get a roof over your head, some neighbors that want to rape you, and you can work the whole day for next to nothing, for no reason. So what's it? What's up with this whole legislation here? It says, under this bill, if a young couple plans a wedding in Amsterdam and as part of the wedding they plan to buy the bridal party some marijuana, they would be subject to prosecution. And it's a thought crime. It's very 1984 because you might be planning it. You might tweet to each other. I guess you tweet, well, maybe we can get some pot when we're in Amsterdam. Well, that makes you liable to be arrested and to put in jail. I think it's a very dangerous trend. It's simply what happened in Russia under Stalin. Stalin, of course, hated the bourgeois I'm not sure how they're called actually, but he arrested a shitload of people, put them all in jail, in these camps, in these gulags. But the big secret is, of course, that these gulags were highly productive. There was you had these rail lines, and on every side you had gulags, which was camps with criminal prisoners that could rape everybody in the prison all the time, and people working themselves to death. Sometimes they would be digging pits the size of themselves and end up like 3 meters on the ground on the end of the day, or 5 meters on the ground, and they would have to escape from it. And there would be statistics and how deep did you dig, and just go on until you die. That would be one thing, but the other thing would be making rubber boots or working in a factory and stuff like that. And what do you need for that? You need easy, soft targets. You need soft laborers. You need people that are not very aggressive. Well, okay, people that use marijuana are usually pretty mellow, and it's not a crime. What is it? It's a plant that grows somewhere. You burn it and you breathe it in, and you go a little bit, you get a little bit lazy. That's it. So these are super easy targets. That's what you want. You want to populate your prison system with that, because then don't need wardens with muscles, and But this is just going on, and it affects foreign countries as well. So what else is here? Conspiracy laws in general are problematic when applied to the drugs war. They give prosecutors extraordinary discretion to charge minor players, such as girlfriends or young siblings, with the crimes committed by major drug distributors. And it is grabbing the population, I think. And it's grabbing a part of the population that people don't really sympathize with. So I guess the wisest thing to do is not use marijuana. I think really that's for several reasons very smart. For one reason, it clears your head, but for the other reason is it drowns out the system, the financial system that is built up around marijuana, that the banks depend on. So if you want to resist Occupy Wall Street, then you might stop using drugs, because that's a basic lifeline. Now, in a similar vein of these kind of more or less misinformation, I get here in renewable sector the near net zero energy manufacturing plant of Pepsi Cola. Pepsi Cola made a manufacturing plant, and it says, well, it is built to make sure that there's zero landfill waste and zero water wastage. Pepsi Cola. If they want to be climate neutral or climate positive, then they should shut up their whole company. Because what do? They ship water with salt and sugar around the planet. and charge a fee for that. And that's just a huge carbon emitter. The whole process is a huge carbon emitter. Like we don't know how to make a drink that tastes nice. You know, that's just ridiculous. But why am I saying that? Well, it is because it is all these attempts to go on until you cannot go anymore. And that's so dumb, really. It is really like somebody, you know, diving underwater, and he says, well, no, I can dive, I still have an hour of air. And then I can dive, I still have half an hour of air. I can dive, I still have 50 minutes of air. I can dive, I have 5 minutes of air. It's okay, let's go, you know. Oh, now I have to breathe slowly because I only have 2 minutes of air. Oh, now I have 1 minute of air. Oh, now I'm dead. That's the strategy. That's the business as usual, let's go on as long as possible strategy. And it ends up with people dying. Lots of them, I think. And that's what my basic worry is. Another news item, which I also think is impossible to not mention, and that is that it's now researched and found that organic farming is as productive as traditional farming, as conventional farming it's called. And it's a long-term study that basically shows that you don't need GM crops and fertilizers, that you could grow organically and that it would be just as productive. We've seen records of that, information about that before, and but the point I made in some of my videos is that there's a big gap, there's a big moat of famine between a carbon fertilized, so a gas fertilized agriculture, which kills the soil, which of course is also drained with petrochemical derived poisons, which is planted with GM crops, which are somewhere, they're manufactured, I'm not sure actually where, but if you stop fertilizing that land and you try to grow something, then you won't be able to grow anything for a couple of years, and those couple of years you will be very, very hungry. And that's what happens if the Petro conveyor belt to the US and the fertilizer conveyor belt around the world collapses. It will happen to the countries that don't have organic farming, that don't have enough land to bring it to production very quickly, where the soil is full of energy. Because basically, if you want to understand the process, you look at the soil. The soil is a battery. If you use fertilizer, you charge it with a fertilizer, and it's a disposable battery. When it's empty, it's empty. If you use organic farming, you basically make a rechargeable battery, because the plants that you plant put nitrogen and nutrients in the ground, which can then be used by the plants that you harvest, and you have to circulate and be a little bit prudent with it. But that's the difference. The soil with organic farming is alive. And the result of this research about organic farming is also that, that in dry years, organic farms produce more than conventional farms. Why? Well, because in conventional farms, the fertilizer and the pesticides and the herbicides and the insecticides and the whatever sides, they kill the soil. They depleted it of the network of fungi and carbon that is usually in there, which stores moisture and makes sure that there's energy available in dry years. So you're extremely, the world is extremely exposed, and I made several videos about it a long time ago, where it means that if there is a carbon supply gap to the US, you know, and that's apart from there being no harvest in part of the year, although there are also abundant harvests in other parts of the world. But if the fertilizer supply is broken, then you'll have a mass starvation happening. Anyway, more good news to come, and I hope you enjoy this, and please beware of this new marijuana law. I link to it below this video, and have a good day.